Most people visiting Lake George, New York, are unaware that the waterway has over 40 British shipwrecks that date to the 1755 to 1763 French and Indian War. Over the autumn of 1758, the British deliberately sank 260 bateaux and other warships to protect them from their enemy, the French. Many of these vessels were recovered by the British for their 1759 campaign. The Colonial Bateaux was a flat-bottomed vessel, pointed at bow and stern, and about 25 to 35 feet long. They were primarily rowed, but bateaux were poled in shallow water and could be rigged with a crude mast and sail. These boats played an integral role transporting troops and cargo, and helped the British win the French and Indian War. Over 1987 to 1991, the Underwater Archaeology organization Bateaux Below mapped 7 1758 British Bateaux shipwrecks known as the Weowaka Bateaux. In 1992, the not-for-profit group succeeded in getting these shipwrecks onto the National Register of Historic Places. In 2023, maritime archaeologist Joseph W. Zarzynski directed 8 volunteers who painted a 1-to-1 scale 1758 British Bateaux shipwreck onto a floor in the John Farrell Archaeology Exhibit Room in Fort William Henry Museum. The floor mural, in plan view, is 31 feet 7 inches. These volunteers had no artistic background, but this is how they did it.
The floor mural that we did at the museum was certainly a challenging endeavor. We took the archaeological drawing of Weowaka Bateaux Shipwreck C, and Ashley Orzek, the museum's graphic designer, printed it out using a wide format printer. Due to the drawing's large size, nearly 32 feet, it was printed in several sections. Grid marks on the posters helped in laying it onto our canvas, a museum room's floor. After we laid the sections down, we cut the outline of the shipwreck and chalked it in. The team then cut out other sections of the drawing, beginning with the sideboards called strakes. These were then chalked in. This process continued until all the strakes, bottom boards, the cross pieces called battens, and other details were completely chalked in. Upon the advice of local artist Laura von Rosk, the museum purchased mural paint from Golden Artists, a company in New Berlin, New York, specializing in supplies for artists. The volunteers then painted over the chalk marks, that in black. Brown paint was then used for the warship's boards. As the painters did that, they employed special tools to depict the grain of the pine wood. The last 2 to 3 days was repainting the black lines to sharpen and darken them. After 17 days of work, during one of the hottest summers on record, our group completed the floor mural. Museum staff then applied several coats of sealant to protect the mural. On August 4th, 2023, the Underwater Archaeology Room reopened. Museum staff also reprinted display posters and added bateau models and 18th century naval artifacts. The floor mural at the museum now allows people to literally walk on a shipwreck.
An annotated poster on the wall interprets the painting for the public. The floor mural, an all-volunteer project, is believed to be one of the most accurate paintings of a shipwreck in any museum, as it is based upon the archaeological record rather than just an artistic interpretation.
The 20 years before the American Revolution were very significant in the ultimate development of North America, and people just are not as aware of that. So the Radeau is an interesting poster child for that, if you will.
We have very few resources that survive from the French and Indian War period, and this one is preserved and handed down to us 3 centuries later in pristine condition.
There's nothing else like this that you could see underwater.
People believe that time travel is impossible. I say it is. When you dive on the Radeau, you're literally transported back in time over 200 years.
It's really one of the few remaining military structures made of wood that's intact of this era. This is like an original floating fort, a Radeau, completely intact.
There are no other examples of this warship in the world, none that are close to bringing us back to that time in history. This is a time machine. It is a time capsule. It is a one-of-a-kind in the world.
But this is an American ship. It was built by American shipwrights and has every right to, make a claim as the oldest intact warship in North America.
Archaeology is a glimpse into the past. It's a window so that we can find out what happened back then.
Here we have the largest force ever assembled in North America, 15,000 men. This armada stretched for about 6 miles on Lake George, virtually covering the entire surface of the lake.
I often thought about the actual character of the men that manned these vessels. What they did required almost superhuman strength.
The movement of goods, the movement of people was all done on the water. It was all waterborne in the early days. So that's where our beginnings are. That's where our histories began in this country.
Shipwrecks become time capsules of our historic experience. The environmental process may degrade them, but those are artifacts that are left as they were at the time they sank.
The historical record mentions that hundreds of these vessels were sunk in Lake George, but they never did say exactly how it was accomplished. So what we see today, instead of an entire boat, is basically the flat bottom boards, the cleats, and small nubs of the remaining frames.
When we talk about preserving and protecting the lake, it's important for us to recognize that it's not only the water quality that is necessary to protect, but it's also the historical significance of the area, because the two go hand in hand.